My name is Seichi Yamada. I've been working as a mortician in Takamatsu, a quiet city in Japan's Shikoku region, for over 10 years. My job involves more than just preparing bodies for burial or cremation. It's about ensuring the dead receive a dignified farewell. In Japan, this role carries a deep respect rooted in traditions that go back centuries. Over the years, I've seen things that have made me realize death is not always the end. Sometimes, it's the beginning of a story left unfinished. One night, I was working late with my colleague, Sato. We had just finished our day's work, and were tidying up the preparation room on the second floor of the funeral home. The building has 3 floors, with the mortuary on the 3rd. The mortuary is usually quiet, a place where bodies are stored until they are ready for their final ceremony. That night, however, something unusual happened upstairs. We were cleaning up when we heard strange footsteps coming from the 3rd floor. The sound was heavy, like someone dragging their feet, echoing down the stairwell. I felt a shiver run down my spine. "Did you hear that, Yamada-san?" Sato asked, his voice barely above a whisper. I nodded, feeling uneasy but trying to stay calm. Probably just a wind or maybe a draft. "Let's go check it out." We grabbed our flashlights and slowly climbed the stairs to the 3rd floor. The hallway was pitch dark, the kind of dark that makes you feel like you're being swallowed whole. I could hear my heart pounding in my chest as we reached the top. The mortuary door was slightly ajar, and I could see a faint light flickering inside. The air was cold, colder than it should have been. "I don't like this, Yamada-san," Sato muttered, his hand trembling as he gripped his flashlight. "Neither do I replied, but I knew we had to check it out. It was our responsibility." We pushed the door open and stepped inside. The room was icy, like a freezer. My breath came out in white puffs as I shone my flashlight around. That's when I saw it. A metal drawer was pulled out empty. It was supposed to hold a body, but there was nothing there. Instead, there was a trail of wet footprints leading from the drawer to the door. "What the hell?" Sato whispered, his eyes wide with fear. "This doesn't make any sense." "Let's close it up and check the security cameras," I suggested, trying to keep my voice steady. As we turned to leave, I noticed something strange in the corner of the room. There was a small shrine, covered with a white cloth. It looked out of place, something that didn't belong there. I walked over and carefully lifted the cloth, revealing a small statue of Jizo, the protector of lost souls. Around it were paper talismans and a bowl of water. "What is this doing here?" Sato asked, stepping closer. "I don't know," I replied, reaching out to touch one of the talismans. But as soon as my fingers brushed against it, I felt a sharp shock, like a jolt of electricity running through my body. I jerked my hand back, my heart racing. "Are you okay?" Sato asked, his face pale. "I'm fine," I lied, shaking off the tingling in my hand. "But something's not right. We need to check the cameras." We headed to the elevator, hoping to get to the 1st floor quickly. But as soon as we stepped inside and pressed a button, the elevator started moving up instead of down. It stopped on a floor that shouldn't have existed, a mysterious 4th floor. The doors creaked open, revealing a long, dark corridor lit only by a faint red light at the far end. The air was thick with a musty smell, like old books and damp wood. I could feel Sato tense beside me. What is this place?" he stammered. "I don't know," I said, stepping cautiously out of the elevator. "But we need to find out." As we walked down the corridor, we heard a soft, rustling sound. I shined my flashlight in the direction of the noise and saw a young woman standing there. She was wearing a traditional white kimono, her long black hair tied up in a neat bun with delicate hairpins. Her face was pale, almost ghostly, and her eyes were dark and hollow. She was holding a faintly glowing paper lantern. "Can you help me?" she asked in a soft, almost whispering voice. "Who are you?" I asked, trying to hide the fear in my voice. "Why are you here?" She smiled, a sad, eerie smile that sent chills down my spine. I am the guardian of this place, watching over those who cannot rest. But there is one soul that is too restless, too angry. Can you help me find it?" I felt a cold sweat break out on my forehead as I noticed something on her wrist, a red tag. The kind we put on the bodies in the mortuary to mark them as deceased. "Yamada, let's get out of here," Sato urged, pulling on my arm. But before we could move, the elevator shook violently and the lights flickered. The woman started to fade, her figure becoming transparent. "Please," she said, her voice echoing as if from a distance, "help me." I frantically pressed the elevator button, and the doors finally closed. We raced down to the first floor and ran to the security room. I pulled up the footage from the third floor, but it was blank. Nothing had been recorded. "This can't be happening," Sato muttered, his hands shaking as he scrolled through the footage. Then we heard it again, the soft rustling, like fabric moving in the wind. I turned around and saw the woman standing in the doorway, her lantern glowing brighter now. Her smile was gone, replaced by a look of desperation. "Thank you," she said softly, before disappearing into thin air. The room fell silent, and I could feel my heart pounding in my chest. We looked at each other, not knowing what to say. After a moment, I got up and walked back to the mortuary, Sato following close behind. When we reached the third floor, the shrine was gone, as if it had never been there. The talismans, the bowl of water, even the footprints, all gone. "What the hell is going on here, Yamada-san?" Sato asked, his voice trembling. "I don't know," I admitted, "but I think we disturbed something we shouldn't have." A few days later, we learned that the previous mortician had set up the shrine to seal away a vengeful spirit. Over time, the seal had weakened and the spirit had started to stir. The woman we saw was a guardian of that shrine, trying to prevent the spirit from escaping. Since that night, Sato and I have refused to stay at the funeral home after dark. Even now, every time I pass by the mortuary, I can't help but quicken my pace, afraid of hearing those footsteps again or seeing that red tag. Some things are better left alone, buried in the darkness where they belong.